Good afternoon and welcome to the ISO Board of Governors General Session meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all attendees are currently muted until the public comment portion of today's call. We will give you all instructions on how to enter the comment queue at that time. With that, I will now go ahead and turn the call over to Chair Jan Shorey.
Yes, thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our meeting. We're still wearing our Hawaiian shirts from the prior meeting to stay cool this afternoon. Let me go ahead and turn it over to Roger for our roll call.
Thank you, Chair Shorey. And we'll start with you. Chair Shorey.
Here.
Vice Chair Borenstein.
Here.
Governor Edo.
Here.
Governor Galitova.
Here.
And Governor Leslie.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
Great, thank you very much. I think it's time for us to solicit general public comment on anything that is not on today's agenda. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to make a public comment? Nope, I don't see anyone today. So could the operator check for us and see if we have anyone online that would like to comment?
Online, if you would like to make a public comment, you can please press the raise hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Or if you are dialed into the phone only line, you can please press #2 on the telephone to enter the comment queue. We have no comments in the queue at this time.
Yes, Silas, are you still our assistant for this meeting as well?
Yep, it's still me, Silas, for this one.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Just thought I'd check.
Thanks.
With that, then I think I turn it back over to Roger for the minutes.
Thank you, Chair Shorey. We need a motion to approve the June 12, 2024 general session minutes. Have a motion, please. Thank you, Angelina. Second was Chair Leslie, or whoever you are. Sorry, Governor Leslie.
Former chair.
I almost called you Chair Leslie, and I was going to get in trouble from Jan.
Chair Emeritus.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is approved. Yes, everyone said aye.
Everyone said aye. We got
Even
organized.
Governor Leslie.
Yes.
Okay, good. We're all organized. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our CEO, Elliot Mainzer, for his CEO report.
Thank you, Chair Shorey and governors. It's nice to see you all. Looking forward to we've got a relatively brief meeting this afternoon, but a couple of consequential items. And I actually have a number of things I'd like to touch upon for my CEO report. It's been another busy period. I think we all know we're coming off of a period of extreme record-setting heat in California and across the West. It was an early test for the summer, and obviously quite pleased to see the way that we were able to come through it. I think it's another example, again, of a tremendous amount of advanced planning. I think everything from the tabletop exercises that we've done and with the coordination across the West. I think also it's really always important, something we really appreciate. I think the level of focus from the governor's office, the state agencies, the utilities, just the amount of procurement of new resources in the last couple of years has just made a huge difference. 11,600 megawatts of new procurement just the last couple of years. We've exceeded 9,000 megawatts of batteries on our grid. These are making a real difference for resource adequacy. Of course, the heating event here in California was very hot. We set a number of new temperature records, extremely high. Palm Springs, 124 degrees. It was the hottest, I think, over two and a half weeks stretch of extreme temperatures this Sacramento area had ever experienced. We were fortunate, however, that Southern California did not heat up quite as much. That made a difference. So from a load perspective, we were generally in reasonable shape, able to export quite a bit of energy across the rest of the interconnection through both the day-ahead market and through the Western Energy Imbalance market. Performed very well. And so really appreciated that. Just a couple other things to note. This was a record-setting heat wave for the Western United States, right? If you remember back on September 6th, 2022, we hit what at that time was the all-time record of 167,530 megawatts. We surpassed that on July 10th, shortly after 5 p.m. at 167,988 megawatts. So a new all-time WEC record. But fortunately, we did not have a single EEA energy emergency alert declared by any of the U.S. members of the RC. nor did we find ourselves needing to call any flex alerts to get to this event. And I wanted to call, we talked about this a little bit earlier today. We really do appreciate the fact that there was some meaningful demand response in the market. We are seeing, I think, some sense that consumers have begun to really sort of systematically pay a little bit more attention during that 4 to 9 p.m. Here we are today, wearing our Hawaiian shirts in recognition of, having to sort of tread a little bit lightly on electricity consumption from that 4 to 9 p.m. and getting prepared for that. But I think there continues to be room for even in greater expansion of the demand response market here in California. So we're excited for additional progress on that front. But again, just outstanding work, real appreciation to everybody within California, both at the ISO and the state agencies and the utilities and our many partners across the West are getting to this event I think in really good shape. Of course, it's early. It's going to be a long summer. Fire season is still quite acute. We're having to keep an eye on the transmission system from fires, but I do feel like we're well positioned and ready for what Mother Nature may throw at us here in the balance of the summer. So great work on the part of all. Of course, at our last meeting, we really wanted to just thank everybody again. The special meeting on June 12th, really appreciated the approval of the interconnection process enhancements track 2. I think that was a very meaningful vote that we are in the process of getting ready to transmit that filing to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission here in relatively short order. Very important piece of policy. Wanted to acknowledge, this type of transformational change is very challenging. And I think through that stakeholder process, the working groups, and then trying to synthesize all the input, we really did try to strike a right balance. And I wanted to just reiterate something that I know was important to the board was a critical piece of this process is going to be ongoing coordination with the California Public Utilities Commission and other local regulatory authorities to make sure that the screening procedures for projects to advance to the study process are equitable and transparent. And we're going to just continue working on that. We will be making sure that we stay focused on our work with stakeholders to monitor how those reforms work going forward, and certainly will remain open to any refinements that may be needed. So the next step will be the filing from the commission. We'll remain hopeful for a good outcome there. And thanks again to Neil and Danielle and Jeff and the whole transmission team and all the stakeholders that participate in that initiative. Of course, continued progress on the extended day ahead market as well. Really excited, of course, back on June 11th, we received good news from FERC, full approval in its entirety of our refiling of the EDM access charge design. So that means that the EDM tariff now is fully approved. It's pretty fabulous. It's nice to just be absolutely right into the heart of the implementation stage. We also really appreciated, since our last meeting, NV Energy has publicly indicated its intention to participate in the extended day ahead market and said it will follow up later this year with a formal filing to its state commission, seeking approval to join. Obviously, NV is just an absolutely critical partner for us. They've had such a strong input, very active participant in the stakeholder process on the EDM design, engagement pathways, et cetera. And they obviously, their transmission system, their resource base is just a critical piece of the Western market architecture. So couldn't be more happy to see them moving in the right direction. And then, of course, on June 28th, really appreciate the fact that Portland General formally signed their implementation agreement for the extended day ahead market. So now both PacifiCorp and Portland have formally signed their implementation agreements. And so at this stage, in addition to the ISO, we have 6 balancing authority areas who are currently participating in the Western Energy Imbalance Market, indicating their intent to extend their participation in the EDM. This represents about 50% of the demand in the Western Electricity Coordinating Council footprint. Continuing just to build off that transmission connectivity and resource diversity that exists across that footprint. And we're excited, I think some good ongoing discussions with a number of other entities, hopeful as they continue to complete their due diligence to get even more members here across the course of 2024. So it's really exciting, just a big level of appreciation across the board to all of our folks and all of our partners as we continue to build out the day ahead market. I wanted to note, there was not a ton of fanfare around this, but just recently the 10 West Link transmission line was actually finally energized in June. I remember going to the shovels ceremony for that, and there were people that had worked on that project for over 20 years. It was actually formally approved by the ISO Board of Governors back in July of 2014. okay, 10 years ago, which tells you, here's a little bit of what it takes to get transmission built and why the sense of urgency around that is so important. But it's a 125-mile line that connects substations in Tonopah, Arizona, and Blythe, California. It's going to open up access to another 3,000 megawatts of clean energy resources. It's just a really nice additional piece of transmission connectivity in the desert Southwest. And it was really a ton of work by a lot of people and just a nice milestone. So we're looking forward to really optimizing that line and creating even additional value as we partner with our partners in the desert Southwest. Of course, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we obviously at the CAISO are very encouraged by the ongoing progress being made by the Pathways Initiative. To me, that's just a model of stakeholder engagement. Really appreciate that work. We will continue to stay positioned as a technical support for that effort. And of course, we're now in the process on the step one, where we have received a solid round of comments as part of our own stakeholder process for that. We're in the process of reviewing those and getting those back to the launch committee and setting up for a decision here on step one process, hopefully as early as August 13th. That's what we're looking at. So more to come. We've got to make sure we review all the comments and dot all the I's and cross the T's on that, but it's moving very much in the right direction. Really appreciate that. Just a couple last things before we move on. I wanted just to note Neil and his transmission team, as you remember back in 2022, released our first 20-year outlook, which I think just became a really helpful piece of long-term transmission planning, kind of mapping out the broad architecture of the California grid and looking at the key segments, both in-state, offshore, and into the rest of the West. Of course, conditions continue to change, inputs change, assumptions change, forecasts change, and we are getting ready to update the long-term outlook. There's going to be, now with the 2023-2024 transmission plan approved and on the books, we're getting ready to release an updated version of the outlook in the next couple of weeks. So, the purpose of that plan, that is really just to continue providing a bit of that North Star to guide and help us with our shorter term 10-year transmission plan. But I think it's a really valuable piece of planning infrastructure. Looking forward to seeing the next iteration. And I'll just mention finally that we've had a really successful launch back on May 30th of the CAISO, the refreshed CAISO.com website. I see a big smile on Stacy Crowley's face. The communications team partnering with our technology group and with our stakeholder affairs group just did a fabulous job launching that. Kind of managed it sort of in parallel with the old system for a while, but turning the lights off on the old system and moving into the brave new world of our new website. And I'm really excited for that to be the new standard and hope our users find it satisfying. We'll continue to stay open to their feedback as we move into the next chapter. So a lot happening. Appreciate all the support, and we're excited to keep making progress on all these fronts. So that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, Elliot. Do any of the board members have any questions or comments for Elliot? We're good? Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, at this point then, Roger, is it time for Rob
Yes,
and an update? Rob, you can come up here. You left, but you're welcome to come.
we have our WEM governing body chair,
WEM, the new title.
our Western Energy Markets governing body chair.
Chair Shorey, Vice Chair Bornstein, Board of Governor members, good afternoon again. I'll make a kind of a briefer update than I have in the past. As you're aware, we met last month up in Boise, Idaho. Instead of going through blow by blow and all the great things that happen, I'd like to just focus on a few things. One, you probably figured out by now that member Wagner and myself were renominated and approved, so we're still here.
Congratulations. We're happy about that.
And if you hadn't been shared on the information that in addition to being selected as chair again, that member Wagner is the vice chair. So I think that's really timely for us. And as we look at rotations and with her background, I think it'll be very timely when she becomes the chair. The other things I would like to touch on is I mentioned we were in Boise. It was very helpful in the outreach meetings that we did. That's an area where We've not had as much communication, and so we had divvied up the work between us, and we're able to have a number of outreach meetings, including the Idaho Public Utility Commission. And I think it was very helpful in giving them, I believe, what we consider the unbiased truth and the straight story, and make certain that they heard from us on how things operate and the vision and goal in operating the market. So I'm hoping that we left good communication messages with them. Another item I'd like to point out is we had one public comment, and it's too bad that Tiffany is still not in the room, because I wanted to point out that some kudos go to the Board of Governors, is that Pam Sporberg of Portland General was there. And she wanted to make certain that all of us knew of their appreciation for the immediate attention that was given to the soft cap adjustment for the summer, or hopefully this summer, but at least she recognized, as Amelia had pointed out, that it was dropped in, as you recall, after the first of the year, and worked out its way all the way through to a FERC filing, and now waiting for a response and then possible implementation. And then the last thing I'll touch on is looking at our focus over the next 12 months. And one, as we communicated, is we do not want to lose sight of the EIM. And, I know that everyone wants to be forward looking, but, we have a very successful EIM market right now. And, the worst thing that would happen as we talk about EDAM is we lose focus on the current market. And I think that continues to build. There's still more opportunities, as you know, in expanding the EIM. So we want to make certain that all the participants know that there is that strong commitment not to lose any sight there. The other area certainly is developing EDAM and making certain that it progresses and the implementation goes smoothly. And then lastly is promoting the EDAM and trying to make EDAM the best dam market out there. And certainly making certain that there's open opportunity, and that everyone sees that everyone sees that as the marketplace to be. So that concludes my remarks.
That's good. Thank you very much, Rob. Does anybody have any? Yeah, there you go. That's very good. Thanks a lot, Rob. All right. Well, I think we're already up then to agenda item number 5, which is a decision on addendum 1 to the 2023-24 transmission plan. And I think Neil Miller is going to give us a presentation, and go ahead.
Well, yes, thank you and good afternoon. Today I'll actually be asking Robert Sparks, our manager of Regional Transmission South, to present the addendum to the 23-24 transmission plan for your approval. Robert will be participating virtually, and I do see him online there, so that's great. Before I turn the microphone over to Robert, though, I just wanted to provide some context. Our transmission planning process set out in tariff does enable us to bring addendums like this to the Board of Governors for approval when the need for the project was identified in the comprehensive plan approved earlier this year, but additional analysis was necessary before a recommendation could be made to the Board of Governors. We have sparingly employed this option in the past, and we really do appreciate your consideration of this decision item today. Also, as Robert does not present to the board frequently, I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank him for his own exceptional efforts in leading the transmission planning and resource interconnection study process in Southern California for the ISO. And by coincidence, Robert was the one that actually led the business case and the development of the plan for the Delaney Colorado River 10 West Link transmission line that was approved back in 2014. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robert to present the addendum for your approval.
Thank you, Neil. I'm assuming you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Robert Sparks. I'm the Senior Manager of Regional Transmission for the southern part of the ISO. It is my pleasure to be able to present to you today. Next slide, please. Or can you see the slides? Looks like you only see me. So I can't tell. It looks like you can see the slides. I can't really see the slides.
We can
but,
see the slides. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so as Neil said, 2 projects were identified as needing additional analysis after approval of the plan in May, so they could also be approved and added to the plan. I'll get into the details on the next slide on those 2 projects. Next slide. Sorry, okay. With the planned addition of generation and needed new transmission facilities, the short circuit currents at Imperial Valley and Miguel substations will exceed their ratings in their 230 kV circuit breakers. In order to maintain the safety and reliability of the system, 2 upgrade projects are needed. These projects are named the Short Circuit Mitigation for Imperial Valley 230 kV Circuit Breakers Project and the Short Circuit Mitigation for Miguel 230 kV Circuit Breakers Project. The estimated cost for both projects is $148 million. Both projects are the most cost-effective and feasible solutions and entail the installation of series reactors and reconfiguring circuit connections to increase the short circuit impedance at the 2 substations rather than replacing all of the breakers. Next slide, please. A couple of stakeholders expressed concern with the level of detail provided with the cost estimates and that the recommended projects are different than the original projects submitted by SDG&E last September. Additional detail has been provided by SDG&E on the cost estimates and the scope, and we have posted that information in response to those stakeholder comments. Also, in public comments on the draft plan, SDG&E provided details of the new alternatives that ultimately became the recommended projects. And the final recommendations and cost estimates were presented in a June 17th stakeholder meeting and are documented in the addendum report to the transmission plan. Next slide, please. So management recommends approval as an addendum to the 2023-2024 transmission plan of the short circuit mitigation for Imperial Valley 230 kV circuit breakers project and the short circuit mitigation for Miguel 230 kV circuit breakers project. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Robert. Do any of the board members have any questions for Robert on this presentation? Robert? Nope. All right, we're good. Well, in that case, sorry, Silas, could you check and see if anyone online would like to make a comment?
If you'd like to
Don't
make a
see-
comment, you can press the raise hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen or dial #2 on the phone only line. We have no comments online at this time.
Great, thank you very much. And I forgot to ask if there was anyone here in our audience in the room that would like to make a comment. I don't see any hands, so I think we're good. At this point, I'll turn it over to Roger then.
Great, thank you, Chair Shorey. Move that the ISO Board of Governors approve Addendum 1 to the 2023-2024 transmission plan for the approval of the following 2 reliability-driven projects as described in the memorandum dated July 10, 2024. Short circuit mitigation for Imperial Valley 230 kV circuit breakers project, short circuit mitigation for Miguel 230 kV circuit breakers project. Can I have a motion, please?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
Oh, I think Mary won on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Angelina, did you aye?
I was the first eye.
I
You don't
noticed
hear me.
all that
Okay,
noise in the room.
Out of sight, out of mind.
It's a big crowd. All in favor? Was
I,
aye
We
and none
just did that.
opposed.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
See, I'm getting older. All right. It's approved. Thank you.
All
I'm
right,
out.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Robert. Good presentation. Okay, well, we're
Thank you.
moving on to agenda item 6, which is a decision on the ISO's Board of Governors and new Western Energy Market Governing Body compensation. This is really following up on a recommendation that the board and the governing body received from the GRC more than a year ago now, I
Yes,
think.
thank you, Chair
So I'm
Shorey.
going to turn it over to Roger to bring us current.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This is, as you say, is from the recommendation of the GRC with regard to the Western Energy Markets Governing Body, and as well as following up with, kind of current circumstances for the board. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Senior Counsel or Lead Counsel Greg Fisher for our presentation.
Thanks, Roger. Aloha, I think is the term of the day.
You missed the memo, Greg.
I
sorry.
know. My head was, next time, can I wear it from now on? Okay. This item really started last year, as Roger and Chair Shorey have mentioned. The Governance Review Committee asked for a review of the governing body's compensation to make sure that it was meeting the requirements that we've established through our governance process and our governance documents. The key to compensating the governing body as well as the board is to make sure that we attract and retain the skill and the talent that we need for what you're accomplishing. And so the governing body had a study done, and we determined that after 5 years of not having an increase, there was an increase due. And we've established that the best place to provide that was in the annual retainer. And so as the survey goes, the survey still shows that even with this proposed increase of $10,000 per year, it will still be within a 25 percentile of peer organizations within the study. And so, with the increased workload, the increased responsibility that the governing body has taken on in the last several years, including the last 5 with EDAM and whatnot, we've decided that this is a good time to seek this, minor, really relatively moderate increase in their compensation. Okay.
Is that it, Greg?
Well, with that, I can go to the board as well, but I wanted to make sure that we. covered
Yeah,
it.
Are we
I'll-
doing these
I'll just-
together or separately?
No, we're doing these together. So let me just note that, it may be obvious, but just in case it's not, that was an independent study that was done with regard to the governing body compensation. But go ahead, Greg.
Thanks. And so keeping in mind that we have established parity between the governing body and the board, it only is logical and really necessary that we ask for the same increase for the Board of Governors. And so we're proposing those increases be implemented effective, this year, so that they can start to get what's due to make sure that we can retain you all and make sure we can attract new talent as needed going forward.
Greg, it's also been 5 years. This predates me on the board, so it's also, I
Yes.
take it, been 5 years since the board has had.
That is correct. We've
Increase.
tended to go side by side when needed, and this is one of those times.
Maybe I'll just make a quick comment, and if any other board members want to as well. We did appreciate the effort that the GRC put into this. Compensation is always a very tough issue for any board, and having served on a bunch of them, this is always one of the challenging issues that boards have to deal with. I do think that the study that was done, the independent study, did confirm that it is still appropriate to pay meeting fees and a retainer. There are some boards that are moving to retainer-only approaches, but at least in the ISO world, that is still an appropriate thing to do. And I will just note for the record that our chairs of committees, as well as the board chairs, both for the governing body and for this one, serve as a labor of love. We don't get additional compensation
That's
for
right.
that. Although the study did show that many boards do pay that, but we're not recommending, or you're not recommending, any changes there. And so since it has been 5 years, I think that the recommendation from my perspective seems reasonable, but I would like to turn it over and see if any other board members would like to make a comment, including Angelina, who is here for this. So anybody else want to say anything? This is always one of those things that nobody wants to make the motion, but that's okay.
I'll make a comment and the motion.
Oh, okay.
I get to make the motion.
Um,
first.
oh.
I get to
Oh,
read
you
it
get
at
to
least.
read it. first,
Okay,
so go ahead,
but
make a
then I'll make
first.
a comment. I'm supportive of this, though not exactly of the reasoning. I think that the term 25th percentile when there are 6 observations is not actually very helpful. But as I recall, the study showed that the compensation was either the lowest or the second lowest among the 6 ISOs. Also, since the last time it's been adjusted, the consumer price index has risen by about the same amount as the retainer. And so the total compensation will be rising by much less than the CPI. So I think, given that I thought that was reasonable compensation 6 years ago, maintaining it in real terms makes sense.
Roger, I just wanted to confirm that the rest of the resolution, because what's in the board packet is quite a bit longer, there are no changes, right? This is the
That's correct. The
existing
only change
compensation
in what we've
resolution. We're
done-
just amending the retainer amount.
That's correct. We're just amending the retainer, but we keep the whole compensation package together so that it's a matter of, I guess, administrative convenience. We don't have a piecemeal, board compensation motion. So we have one compensation motion and we can go back to, and we don't have to say, oh, gee, in 2024, we changed the retainer, but in 2018, we changed the meeting fee. And, we don't want to have that piecemeal. So we put it all in one. Nothing else is changing.
Okay. Were we ready to hear the motion?
Well, I
now,
think
then?
we're ready for public comment.
Oh, public comment. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So first off, is there anybody in the room that would like to make a comment on this recommendation? I don't see any hands. So Silas, could you check online and see if we have anybody that would like to make a comment?
For online, you can press the raise hand icon on Zoom or #2 on the phone. There are no hands online.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll.
Okay, thank you, Chair Shorey. So what I'm going to do, because this is quite a long document to read and for everybody's benefit, including mine, I'm going to shorten this and just reference what was posted. So the first motion is moved that in accordance with Article 4, Section 6 of the bylaws, the ISO Board of Governors hereby modifies the compensation of the WEM governing body members for their service to the California ISO, effective July 1st, 2024, as stated in the memorandum of July 10, 2024. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Excellent. That motion passes. The next motion, did I get to it? Is move that in accordance with Article 3, Section 16 of the bylaws, the ISO Board of Governors hereby modifies the compensation to board members for their service to the California ISO effective July 1, 2024, and as stated in the motion, in the memorandum dated July 10, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, board members. Both motions pass.
Great. And once again, thanks to the GRC members, some
Yeah.
of whom may be listening. We really do appreciate all the work that was done as part of that report. When you think about all of the topics that they grappled with and the recommendations they made, and we are working our way through them. And I think we're getting close to having finally finished up what we needed to finish from that effort. But we do want to thank all the people that worked on that for us.
And Chair Shorey, on behalf of all of us at the ISO, we just want to thank you all for your service. We know you'll put a lot of hours in, and both you and the governing body appreciate it a lot. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay, well, I think we are down to the are we down to the informational reports, I think? All right. Did anyone have any questions or comments that you wanted to make on any of the informational reports that are part of the board package today? Nope. We're all good? All right. Well, thank you very much for attending today. We really appreciate it, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Like
Thank you, Chair
August.
Shorey. Thank you,
Okay.
governors.
Thanks. Adjourned.